Woke capitalism. What is it? It is the latest push by conservatives to criticize the left. My left, the left that I'm on. So, kind of an interesting topic of conversation. A series of advertisements have come out recently criticizing companies for quote unquote going woke. And remember the whole go woke, go broke argument? Well, companies are doing this because it's profitable. But what exactly are they doing? I saw this on Twitter the other day, and I thought it was absolutely fascinating to me. This line of argumentation and this line of reasoning, because like half of it, I absolutely agree. It's ridiculous. So, and it just goes to show you that really, if conservatives worked with people on the left, we could get so much done. And I've been saying this for years. I don't necessarily not work with anyone because they're conservative, but if you are all of a sudden like, oh my God, Black Lives, if you're like criticizing people like BLM, transgender rights advocates, all that kind of stuff, that's when I'm going to start drawing problems. But with that being said, let's take a look at this woke capitalism. This is the video that has been, or one of the, how do I get it? Oh, here we go. So these are the videos. They're done by this is Consumers Research. Who's the one who's doing this woke capitalism? It's like it's a conservative group. I don't remember what it's called. But it's a pretty new group. And I just thought it was really interesting, and I wanted to kind of talk about some of these. I watched there was an airlines one. I don't remember, Southwest or something. But yeah, anyway, so here we go. Let's watch this. It's only 30 seconds. This is like a TV ad that basically they're going to run in on like Fox and MSNBC, I believe. And then they were going to also run this on like local TV stations where these companies are located. So say someone is like headquartered in Atlanta and their CEO lives in Atlanta, then they would see this ad. So yeah, let's see what's going on. So, yes, I agree. They are political, but not because they're trying to cover up for poor labor conditions in China and India. That's just, maybe that's a reason, but we all know that anyone who is sufficiently capable of making criticisms online can also criticize this, while simultaneously saying, hey, that's awesome that you support Colin Kaepernick, Nike. We can do both. I know it's a learned skill and it might take a little bit of effort, but it's okay. Come with me, I will teach you. Yep, that is true. There is reports on that. I have seen that. And they are using the Uyghurs in their camps to do that forced labor. Basically, China is selling out that labor to companies, and then they're bringing in, setting up their equipment, and then getting cheap to non-existent cost labor. Also, I really like this line of argumentation because you don't hear anything about the Uyghur genocide from the right until it comes down to criticizing corporations because they're taking stances on social issues that they don't like. Meanwhile, I have been criticizing the Uyghurs ever since I actually learned about it, which, I'll be honest, was just last year. But ever since then, I have been criticizing China on their treatment of the Uyghurs. Not like the Uyghur people, but I criticize the state of China for how they are treating the Uyghur population. Yep, and this is why people like me and other people on the left who advocate for better political and social reform, we will say you need to get money out of politics. You need to stop lobbying. $920,000 is a big amount of spending in Congress. The lobbying comes in the form of campaign contributions. It comes in the form of direct payments. So, like, if I'm a person who's sitting in Congress or the Senate, they could, in theory, give me a dinner or, pay for my family to go on a vacation. Even though it's illegal, it happens. So this, yeah, right here. Okay, so this is it. This is at the end. It's serve your customers, not woke politicians. This is the insane take, because what they're doing is, they're basically saying is, these companies have abandoned their customer base, and they're making very salient criticisms, but then they're drawing that criticism, they're drawing an equivalency between that criticism and sort of progressive ideologies of equality, the ideology of betterment for all, better labor conditions. They draw this like something that's actually a very real and valid criticism, and then straw man it out in front of someone, or in front of the rest of the argument, to say, listen, these are obviously related. Don't you see how related they are? It's a wild take. So, is this the actual consumer research? It is. Yes. Do they have? Oh, yes, they do. This is the one I saw the other day, and it's absolutely worth watching. God, I need to get like YouTube Premium or something to not see ads. Yes, okay, American Airlines. This is the wild one. Oh, is it not? Hold on. It's not. Oh my god. Why is it not working? Hold on. Wait, is it working again? Okay, it's working. Let's go ahead and rewatch that last one, just so that way we have it. But it's really quick, and all my arguments basically hold true. Oh, also, really nice use of Colin Kaepernick on that one. Really love it.
Congressional reports suspect Nike used forced labor in China. Religious minorities were ripped from their families and sterilized, sold to factories.
And again, all of these are absolutely salient arguments. These are things that you are more than welcome to criticize Nike for. In fact, I would join you on that criticism. I agree. These are bad things. We should criticize Nike for doing this.
Nike made shoes in those same areas. Congress tried to ban Nike's labor practices. Nike fought back with highly paid lobbyists rather than hiring Americans.
Again, these are all problems that I would agree with, and by and large, the broader left would agree with. This is what they're trying to do, is they're trying to do this linking between woke progressivism, quote-unquote woke, progressive ideology, and these negative things going on in China, when in fact anyone on the left would agree, yes, this is bad. If it is between, paying more for shoes made in America and deplorable labor conditions, then yeah, we would rather pay more for shoes.
Nike chose China. John Donahoe. Nike. Stop exploiting foreign labor. Serve your customers, not woke politicians.
And yeah, again, this is where they're trying to draw a comparison, like I said before, where, hey, problems in China is because of the large progressive and social movement towards the left, away from conservatives. They are trying to equate the two, and this is absolutely a bad thing. We should be critical of this. Okay. This one right here.
It's hard to believe that Mint Mobile can be good at just $15 a month.
As much as I love you, Ryan Reynolds, this is the one I saw on Twitter that was just like, oh my god. So, okay. A lot of this, again, I would agree. All of this are problems. I absolutely agree. The legroom affects me personally. I'm mega fucking tall. Guess what? I have to deal with that shit. This isn't something that's like, oh, maybe this is like a weird wedge issue. No, this is like actually happening. But again, let's take a look.
During COVID, American requires passengers to show ID to fly. But
American requires passengers to show ID to fly, but attacks Texas voter ID law. Texas voter ID law. The ones that driver's license issued by the Department. My understanding is that this one is one of the ones that would not make it easy or free to obtain ID. And that's Brennan Center. Wait, is this? Which one is the 2021 one? Oh, no, not 2001. Jesus Christ. Texas. New voting restrictions. They work to protect their hold on power. Again, this is just Texas Republicans wanting to hold on to power, disenfranchise more people. More than 20 years in firm control, the GOP is seeing as dominance of Texas politics slowly slip away. This is true. People are moving more towards the Democratic Party. If legislation is introduced passes future elections, will look like something that voters with disabilities are required to prove that they can't make it to the polls before they can get mail-in ballots. Again, this was previously anyone get a mail-in ballot. All you have to do is ask, which is the constitutional way. Limiting this would be limiting access to the polls, which is unconstitutional. County election officials won't be able to keep polling places open late to give voters late shift work more time to cast their ballots. So say you are at work that day, you work like an 11 to 8 job. Polls close at 7. Yeah, you might be able to get in there early, but your sleep schedule is a little weird, and you, like everyone else, wake up and go to work first thing. Can't get in there? Sorry, you don't get a vote. Partisan poll watchers will be allowed to record voters who receive help filling out ballots at a polling place. That's really sus. Like, oh, you are getting a Democratic ballot and you need help? I'm going to stand behind you and watch you fill this out. Yeah, that's pretty can lead to some pretty interesting outcomes. Drive-through voting would be outlawed. Again, drive-through voting was something from COVID and largely seen to be a safe and effective practice. Or they also have this can mean one of two things: either the drive-through like polling places where, hey, get your thing, go sit down in your car, fill it out, and then, oh, hey, you have a mail-in ballot, just drive through and drop it off. Local election offices may be forbidden from encouraging Texans to fill out applications to vote by mail, even if they meet the state's strict eligibility rules. Again, deferring people from voting, all this is doing is basically trying to get fewer people to vote. Because the fewer voters that vote, the more Republicans will win. But, this is a fact. We've seen this throughout the past 60 years with voter disenfranchisement in the country.
To show ID to fly, but attacks Texas's popular voter ID law.
Again, this law isn't necessarily popular. It's only popular amongst the right. Many people in the country have said that this voter ID law is largely unconstitutional, and if it was passed, it will be challenged at the Supreme Court level.
Why is CEO Doug Parker trying to appease the radical left?
Yes, the radical left of wanting people to vote. Just so you know, so far in the commercial, that's what they're getting at. The radical left says people have the right to vote. Really makes you think.
To distract from billions of taxpayer bailouts from his
Yeah, again, I agree. It's bad. What they're doing is, when they're talking about taxpayer bailouts, what these companies do is they take that money and they won't actually reinvest it to pay their workers, to pay their infrastructure, to keep up with repairs on their aircraft. What they'll do is, no, you have the right to vote, period. That's the end of that statement. But what they'll do is they'll take and they'll give themselves money. They'll give stock buybacks. Some people have said that there can be good things about stock buybacks. I agree, but largely it is it's difficult. No, I'm not wrong. Okay, I'm gonna take away your right to vote, Scrublord. See how you like it. $10 million plus salary. Yeah, I agree. He shouldn't be making $10 million. This dude probably doesn't do anything to warrant $10 million. Oh, also, if you want to say only legal votes count, then Donald Trump's vote doesn't count, since he's not legally allowed to take up residence inside of Mar-a-Lago. It is actually, and it is not zoned under Florida state law as a residential address. Therefore, and that's where his registered voting address is. He is not legally allowed to vote. American Airlines cut 19,000 jobs. Again, I agree. Like, that's bad. We shouldn't be cutting jobs. I agree. In fact, we should be hiring more and paying those people better. It's almost like, oh my God, we would agree this is a bad thing. However, the prescription is where the difference comes in.
Record layoffs. Doug Parker, American Airlines. Serve your customers, not woke politicians.
Again, attributing all of these, like, quote unquote issues to politicians who are mainly on the Democratic Party, or this idea that society is moving more progressive. That's the whole point of this channel. Because I don't have the money to start a company. It's really complicated. Also, why don't you start a company and pay your workers a shitload of money? So when we're looking this through and we're trying to understand, no, I will, especially when it comes to, yeah, you're right, just get rich. Just move! Yeah. No, I will tell companies to pay people more money, especially when people are living in starvation and working for companies like Amazon, the most profitable country in human history. You're right, and fuck private property. But yes, they what they're doing is they're equating the more hey, only if you want to. $50, that's all I'm saying. I'm joking. I'm not saying that on Twitch. That's not actually happening. American Airlines absolutely is what they're doing, or not American Airlines. Again, what consumer research is doing here is they're equating very real, very criticizable problems to this move towards progressivism, this move towards social awareness, this move towards improving and making a better society. And this is something that happens all the time. This isn't something that, oh, hey, society's moving left. We're accepting transgender people. All of a sudden, now, the CEO of American Airlines, because we accepted one transgender person, they're now making $10 million a year. That's not what's happening. There's no evidence of that happening. And, even if that was, I would argue that the societal acceptance of transgender people is worth a CEO making $10 million a year. It seems to make people happy. And that's what I like. I like when people are happy. But that's what the message being delivered here is. We would agree on all of these being problems. However, they would disagree on the cause and probably the solution. And this is something that I'm seeing very characteristically of the right. I'm seeing this very characteristically of people like Jimmy Dore, who, despite supposedly being a leftist, is basically going down like a really hardcore, he does this oh, if only we stopped worrying about social issues and we only cared about white people, we could have workers' equality, we could have a worker state, and that's just completely wrong. So yeah, let's see what else they have, because they have I want to say they have a couple other. Do they have any other short videos? Ooh, what's this? What's this?
We've got a brand new iPhone 12 in a mouse case. 3, 2,
That's
1.
from 100 feet. Okay.
Coca-Cola
The iPhone. Okay, never mind.
getting political, attacking Georgia's popular voting law. Why?
Yeah, again, Georgia's popular voting law. That's actually not popular and has been ruled by many organizations across the country to be unconstitutional, that would reduce access to polling places, remove the ability for people to give water to people standing in lines, shut down polling places, not allow people, say you were standing in line to vote, not allow you to vote, close down more polling places so that it's harder for people who live in inner cities where there is larger number of people to vote. Instead, what we need to be enfranchising these people, getting them to be able to vote, making voting easier and more accessible.
To distract from years of dismal sales, terrible 2020 results.
Wait. No. Coke sales. Coca-Cola is a huge company. Yeah, revenues around $33 billion. That's massive, especially for a beverage company. Jesus Christ. Do they show profits? A brand value totaling 81.56 billion as of 2014. Like, yeah, they're dwindling from their 2012 high, but 33 million is still or 33 billion is still a ton. Jesus. It's not everyone, I want to make a note, every major company's sales were down last year, so
Reports suspecting they benefited from forced
again, this is bad. Also, I do want to point out really quick, I don't know what Coca-Cola has to do with garments. Bit of an interesting... This is one thing definitely to pay attention when you see stuff like this, is I would expect this to be a canning facility or a tin factory or something to that effect, not someone sewing garments. I'm not saying that what Coke did is good, but what I'm saying is that's how you can kind of tell that when people are doing more dishonest things, is they're not using actual source, they're using related on inactual sources. But again, yeah, I would agree. This is bad. Forced labor, large scale, basically large scale, low cost or low wage labor. Yeah, that's really bad. I absolutely 100% agree. I disagree though that their sales are they're not doing good as a company though. That's kind of weird.
benefited from forced labor in China. Coca-Cola products are poisoned.
Also, I do love this mega China fear mongering. I agree, China is bad, and we should be competing with China, but we should be competing with China in a lot of ways, and we should be pushing them, when in all reality the Republican Party is more than happy to let China roll in and do all this kind of stuff. Really, the Republican Party was one of the largest forces in this country to push labor rights away to move everyone to China.
Poisoning America's youth and worsening the obesity epidemic. So the company tried funding phony science.
Wait, what is this?
The epidemic, worsening the America's youth and
So the teens despite obesity crisis. Yeah, that's bad. I agree.
worsening the obesity epidemic. So the company tried funding phony science to minimize the harm.
And again, this is all true. I agree with all of this, and I agree all of it's bad. But again, they're going to say something about how, all of this is, of course, just relating it back to the push towards progressivism in the country and the fact that we're becoming more accepting as a society, and these are actually the problems. Nothing else. That's it.
But they got busted. James Quincy, Coca-Cola. Stop poisoning our children. Serve your customers, not woke politicians.
Again, if you want to make the claim of stop poisoning our children, let's look at things that we can actually do to help combat this. What is... ban high fructose corn syrup. We absolutely should ban this. This is from Livestrong. It's already banned in Europe, so you can only be using it. So they can basically only use it in America and non super high developed countries. Wait, no, hold on. But there's a large push to kind of get this to be banned here. High fructose corn syrup is an additive that they use instead of actual sugar. Basically, what it does is actual sugar won't bind to your cells as easily, and it won't turn into a lipid as easily, so your body has a harder time processing it. Lipids, of course, being fat, so when you go and consume this, your body makes fat at a higher rate than you would after, drinking regular soda. That's why when I drank soda, when they brought back the old Pepsi and Mountain Dew with real sugar, I switched to drinking that. Or they have the quote-unquote Mexican Coke, is what it's called in America, where it's a glass bottle of Coca-Cola. I drank that instead of Coca-Cola. So, it's something that is absolutely worth mentioning and absolutely worth bringing up, that what's going on. Oh, they have that this is something, if you wanted to improve the health of America, we should be looking into doing that. There is health concerns around it. Some people say this has been debunked or whatever, when in fact there is the banning in Europe is a limitation, but it is limited so heavily and regulated so heavily that it's not profitable for companies to use. So, yeah. But yeah, no, I saw this the other day, and I am going to keep a watch on their channel, because it looks like they were kind of nowhere until recently. I did a few things post that, but yeah, this is just kind of a wild thing. And like, this is what I was talking about. I noticed this. I don't necessarily agree with what they're coming out and saying. I agree with the problems, but again, they're relating this to this weird notion that because society is becoming more progressive, we're seeing a degradation, and therefore we cannot accept people for, we are seeing all of these social issues. We are seeing all of these like issues with capitalism, mind you. These are issues with capitalism, and nothing else, because society is becoming more progressive. And this is what the Republican Party will be doing from here on out. Again, I want to make it clear, I don't necessarily think that I wouldn't sit down and say the average Republican voter is dishonest. I think that they are susceptible to this level of misfaith, but that's just because that's what they're being told. They're being lied to, and they hear people like me, they look at us, and just like Scribblord did in chat, coming out on this line. So, yeah.